Hello, welcome to September. The year is steamrolling ahead and I'm not quite sure I'm ready for it, but September's here and I'm gonna enjoy it because the colours, and I like wearing layers and I actually think I prefer autumn. I don't know, let's see. To be honest, over in the UK we haven't had much of a summer, so there's not a lot to like about the summer over here, but let's get involved with September. So we've got these really kind of muted tones here and a bit of a pop of a corally kind of reddy colour. I'm using mild liner just because this is what I have. I will give you the Tombow colour reference that matches better to it. Let's have a look at September's cover page. Oh, my journal. So here we go. We've gone for a bit of a woodland theme. So carrying on from my outdoorsy vibes. Last month was the mountains, this month is the woodlands. I've not managed to get to the mountains yet. I do have a hike in the mountains booked in for September. So a little bit of that, but in the meantime I've been walking through the woods and I've been loving seeing the mushrooms and the toadstools coming through in the woodland, and this just kind of brings it out. And we've got just a few kind of autumn type leafy florals in the background. So I will help you build this cover page today. If you are on Patreon, you'll know that you do have the templates included. If you are watching on YouTube, you are a year behind our Patreons, and you will also be able to access all of the worksheets via the website, and the link will be below in the YouTube bio. Okay, let's have a little look at your templates. So we've got our mushroom cover page. You've also got a blank cover, just if you wanted to cut it out. Use it as a template, whatever you wish to do. You've got a blank and a cover page. We've got our week to view with a couple of mushroom details. I always love to have this little sleep tracker. I've been tracking sleep for around a year and a half now, and I don't know if it helps or it doesn't help, but it makes me feel better when I can see that I'm getting decent amount of sleep in my week. So that's why I always include my little sleep graph on my weekly spreads. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we've got your habit tracker page, 30 days for September. And then we've got your mood tracker, which is like a different type of mushroom for every day of the month. And then you can decide and use a key as to what you want that to be, whether it be happy, sad. I like to say not good, okay, and good, because I don't want to say that I'm feeling bad. I don't really necessarily have bad days, but yeah, I have days when I don't feel okay. So I like just to kind of mark it. It's really good as well if you're cycle tracking. I can usually see where kind of hormonally it starts changing to being not okay. And then all of a sudden, a day later, it's back to being fine. So that was quite good to kind of track my cycle via moods. So getting into it. Here we have my scrap kind of journal where I do all my test pieces and doodles, and just to kind of start off with some simple shapes. So obviously we've got mushrooms, so we'll get to those, but how we're going to start is we're going to build with some kind of background details, and I'm just using the kind of beige sandy colours and just doing almost like some of them actually are just kind of almost like brush strokes like this. Let me zoom in a bit further for you. And then I've added kind of like some leaf details to some of them. So really simple, left and right, either side of your stem. And you can carry on and do what you please with that. You can also do them open just to give a different texture. with maybe less leaves. And then also I've got kind of these, I'm going to use like the darker grey because I've kind of mixed it in with some darker grey. You really can be quite sketchy, and it's all going to kind of layer on top of each other when you do the actual cover page. So you don't have to worry too much about going over things. You can even add in a little bit of, I've got like a really light pink, but again, just some kind of background texture. You can see how it's all overlaying. And then I've added almost what would be like kind of browned off autumn colours, and I've just got some dots around, and I've added lots of different, now this is just kind of like an idea of almost like dyeing off autumn leaves or berries, and you know, you see them sometimes on stems. Now I've got this look, which I picked up on a little walk, these really delicate stems with like autumn colour leaves. I love that. So that was the idea behind this. I'm just going to grab, because what I didn't mention at the start is I have used a lot of a 0.1 fine liner. So I've used the fine liner just to create these kind of really delicate stems, and it doesn't really matter where you go with them. They're quite whimsical and haphazard, so you don't need to be particularly, I mean, some of them I don't even know where they're going and where they're coming from, if I'm honest with you, but they're just kind of out there looking pretty and mixing it up. So you can see how you can build up the background to your cover page by just overlaying, and if you wanted, you could just, if you wanted to, you could just give some sketchy details to those, really messy, because I think that's going to work quite well. But then the kind of center focus is going to be your mushrooms, and I've got a few different shapes and styles that I've put in there. So you've got your kind of main mushroom, which I kind of do a bit of a squiggle and then put a hat on it. Okay, so there is the top of our mushroom, and then I'm kind of filling out underneath with the sandy beige colour and making it into a kind of curved off oval, just adding that in. And then you've also got a bit of a squiggly, depending how you want to do it. Some mushrooms might be long and skinny, some might be short and chunky. You make the decision. Mix it up. This one's going to have quite a chunky little tail to it. Okay, so there's your mushroom shape, and you bring it to life by just adding a little bit of a fine liner. So again, using my 0.1, I've just edged it just ever so, and the main thing we want to look at is we're creating this little semicircle here where we join the stem to the cup of the mushroom. And if you were to look at a mushroom, you'd see that it's got these really fine details here, and we're just gonna use our fine liner to give those strokes and to give the mushroom a bit of texture and shape. Some of them have got a bit of a kind of frilly skirt bit here, and then they continue down to the base. So that is how we are creating our mushroom, and you can go back in, and I'm thinking actually it could do with being a little bit wider. You can just sketch in. I do like the kind of sketchiness to it. That's my phone buzzing, sorry guys, in the background there. And that's our mushroom. So the other thing that we can do is create little tiny baby ones, and I've done those in two different colours. I've done just a little half circle and a stem, just like that. And then also can do that in a grey, or you could do it in a kind of tanny, oh that one's grey as well, the lid of it gave it, I thought by the lid of it, it was a little bit more brown. It's not. But you could use any colour actually, if you wanted. That kind of, almost like a mushroom beige colour, isn't it? So those are our little baby mushrooms. And again, all I've done is just use the fine liner just to give it a little bit of detail. So instead of going in as much detail as the bigger one, I've just almost given it a little bit of a skirt and just given it a bit of an idea. Like, it's really sketchy. It's been a while since we've outlined things. We've done a lot of things where it's just only the pen lines, so kind of getting back into adding a bit of detail into things. And there's our baby mushrooms and our big mushrooms and our leafy detail for the background. So up to you how you want to start. I would always start with my template. So I have kind of mapped out where I want things to be on my cover page. So if you look at the image, it's quite balanced. I always try and make it balanced, whether it be balancing top to bottom, left to right, but you've got obviously your mushrooms in the middle with a bit of balanced of the autumnal shades to the side. You can decide to put pencil markings on the back or use some carbon paper. You can trace that through, or you can just go freehand, or given what we've just kind of started sketching out, you could just totally go freestyle on this. It is however you prefer to work. So for the sake of following the template, just to make things easier for you guys, I have just kind of transferred a really faint pen line, pencil line of where I want things. It's just basically mapping it out. And then we can go in with those details. So what I'm going to do is fill in the kind of background details either side here with those lighter coloured leaves and kind of forest shapey things. So some of them might just want to be just little lines, and we of course can rub out any pencil markings afterwards, but just want to give a bit of background filling out. Some of it might be grasses and some of it might be some leaves, so we can now go in and if we wanted to add a bit more detail, add a few of the kind of leaves in. So I'm going to have this more grey, darker grey over here, and maybe add a few more. Almost could have almost like ferny. There was a lot of ferns. I loved the green of the ferns, but I just thought for September I wanted to go a little bit darker, and plus last month was quite a green based design, so I was just gonna keep this one quite autumnal colours. Although I don't think we start to really see autumn shades coming in, do we, until quite late on now. Everything stays quite green. I mean, are we going to get a late summer? Who knows? I feel like in the UK they promise us this kind of, they call it an Indian summer, late on in the year. They always say when we've had a bad summer, it's kind of, that's the go-to. Oh, it's coming, we're going to have an Indian summer, it's coming later. And then I don't know, September comes and it's a bit of a washout, and we just kind of wonder where the nice weather went. I don't know what countries you guys are in, but maybe you've had some better weather than we have. So here I'm just adding in those dots, just building up the background image and filling out some of these textured kind of leaf shapes, mixing it between the greys. I will always put the Tombow references either on Patreon in the kind of blog comments, or on YouTube in the comment sections. Don't worry, you will have the references that I'm using you will have access to that information. Don't worry about that. And I tend to kind of collate the pens that I have and just kind of rotate between the ones that I do have. So you will find that once you kind of start stocking the pens that I use, I don't often buy new ones, although in saying that, I do feel the need to buy some news. Also, some of the ones that we use quite a lot, I've noticed that the nibs have started to splay on them and open up and don't give me the same detail that I like and need. So let's keep filling this bit in. I'm wondering whether to speed you up, just so that we can come back quicker and you can see the background detail filled in. So I'll speed it up as I fill in all of the background and we'll come back for the mushrooms. Okay, so as you can see, I'll zoom a bit there, kind of filled out my background detail. I've kind of added a few kind of almost like skeleton looking leaves, like just doing like an outline with a fine line detail, just looking a bit sketchy. You can always just also add in just whatever you like, really, fill it in. So let's have a look at the mushrooms. So I've kind of got the mushroom cups penciled in, so I know where I want to go with them. That's why having that template as a guide, even if all you do is draw in the mushrooms first, it's going to give you a really good idea as to where they're going to be. And for me, it's just about keeping it balanced, as I said, keeping the image even, so the colour is kind of spread out, balanced. So that's the top of them. And also, let's not forget, we might want to put a few little ones. I forgot about those. I haven't added them in, but we can add in them now. A few little ones down the bottom there. And then we're just going to use the beige. We're going to go over that so it's not too bad. We're going to go over it with our fine liner pen. Just add the detail in. Some you're going to see more of the underside than you are of the others, and that's fine. Just going to add in some kind of wiggly stems. That's where we're at before we've added in the fine liner, and it is really the fine liner that does give the detail to the picture. So I'm just going to start by almost just giving it an edge. That's what I'm saying, my pens, I've left the lid. Don't do what I've just done. I left the lid off my pen and it's dried out a bit. And I don't have backup, so we might, oh there we go, it's working now. So I didn't have a backup, guys. I was gonna say, if not, I would just use my hexagon gel pen, because a lot of the times I do use that, and it's just a little bit thicker. I think those are a 0.5, but you can just get a little bit more detail with this 0.1. And this one in particular is an actual Tombow, but that's only because I got it in a drawing set with some green Tombow pens. And I bought the set because it had just so many perfect greens that it was worth buying as a set rather than buying the greens individually. And this pen came with it, and it also came with a rubber and a pencil. So it's like a little back to school stationery set, which all of those things will be coming out now because it's September and back to school. So it's worth keeping an eye on any of those deals, because when you get the fine liners in, it's quite handy. I don't know about your household, but pens do go missing a lot around my kids. My rubber in particular tends to go walkies. I have to go and locate it because it's a good rubber and they keep pinching it. And I need to always count the stock on our pens and our hexagon pencils because my littlest has got a bad habit of sneaking into my stock room and just helping himself. Which I've told him, you can't do that because I need to know exactly what's in stock so I don't sell something that I don't actually have. But I have caught him quite a few times, and he does have a little stash in his bedroom. They love the journal, so especially when it's back to school time, I always give them a fresh journal for their notebooks. They like that. I mean, there's got to be some bonuses, hasn't there, when your mum's got a stationery company? I like to keep them with fresh stationery. There's nothing better in my idea, anyway, nothing better than fresh stationery. A new pencil case, a new bag, that whole back to school vibe. Also had a new coat. Just made September a bit easier. It made going back to school a little bit nicer because you would be excited about using all of your new things. It's never great, is it? Well, I don't know. I think my littlest is quite excited to get back and to see his friends and be back playing with his mates. But I'm looking forward to us getting back into a routine, and if you are following along with Journal Club, that's what this week is all about on Journal Club. It's about getting back into routines and kind of finding your flow again, I guess. Okay, so I'm just going to give a little bit of shading to some of these just little squiggly lines. There is our mushrooms. And as you can see, it's a bit of a mess here, but that's what I like. It's that kind of undergrowth, messy kind of foresty shrubs. And the last thing we've got to do here is just add in our twigs, our little floaty, ethereal twiglets. Like I said before, there's no real rhyme or reason to it. It's just, you know, they're there to add a bit of texture and give that kind of end of season berry kind of vibes on berries on sticks. I don't know, but I have seen them and I don't know what they are. Maybe I need to work out what they are. This is all very much like an artist's impression, by the way, guys. These are nothing I do is botanically correct. It's just kind of like how I reimagined it from walking through the forest. Okay, so that is where we're at, and you can obviously rub out any of your pencil markings. Next thing I like to do is add in our titling, which I'm using my black Tombow on the fine liner side. You can trace my writing, you can do your own writing, you can even cut it out and stick it on yourself, however you fancy doing it. And in terms of the dates of the month, you can trace it through from the template. You can create your own using the grid if you've got a dotted journal, that's quite handy. Or if you're addicted to these monthly stamps, which are back in stock, but I just haven't updated the website, so in the next couple of weeks these will be coming online. We just need to take away 31 because September only has 30 days. So we've got the stamp, and I like to just kind of pop it in the middle. There we go. And that, my friends, is September. You can do it. And you've got the template if you need it. But I'd love you to give this a go, and I'd love you to tag me in anything that you do, because it's just amazing to see you all getting creative and let's get on with September. I look forward to seeing what you get up to. Have a great month.